The Boy Who Was Never Afraid by Alfred Smedberg. Once there lived a poor crafter with 8 hungry children and only one cow. Yet the cow, Lily White, was a great blessing to the crafter. She gave as much milk as the finest manor house cow, which was lucky, considering all those children. She was big and handsome, and clever too. She understood everything the children chatted about, and they chatted night and day. Words cannot tell how kind and devoted the children were to Lily White. She was just a cow on a croft, yet she was happy as a bird on a wing. In summertime, she grazed on the large pasture by the manor house. But when the sun went down, she always managed to come home by herself, because she was so clever. But one evening, Lily White did not return home as usual. The crofter spent half the night looking for her, but came home alone and tired. At daybreak the next morning, he and his wife and the elder children went to look for their cow in the pasture. At last, in a far corner of the field, they found Lily White's hoofprints in the soft earth. Beside them were others, made by big, clumsy feet. The crofter was frightened, for he realized at once whose footprints they were. None other than the big troll in Hultawood. The troll must have come down to the pasture from his caves in the granite mountain and led the cow away with him. The children cried, and their father and mother were so worried they scarcely said a word. It was out of the question to try to get the cow back, for no one had ever dared enter the terrible mountain caves where the trolls lived. There were not only trolls to be frightened of in the deep, haunted Halta wood. There were three other creatures too, nearly as dangerous. The first was the green-haired witch. The second was the bellowing watchdog. And the third was a bear, the shaggy king of the forest. Now it happened that among the crofter's children was one small red-cheeked boy named Nissa. As soon as Nissa learned what had happened to Lily White, he immediately decided to walk to the troll caves and bring her back. His mother and father let him go, for they knew there was no one like Nissa in 7 parishes. He wasn't afraid of anything in the world, no matter how dangerous it was. Nissa was not afraid, because he was so good-hearted and friendly towards every living thing. Nissa took a stick in his hand, put a slice of buttered bread in his pocket, and set out. Soon he arrived at the forest, and after a while he caught sight of a witch sitting on a ledge combing her tousled green hair, which fell all the way down to her hips. It was the quick-footed witch of Halta Wood. "What are you doing here in my forest?" she called, as Nisse came walking along. "I'm looking for our cow, dear lady. The trolls have stolen her," replied Nisse, without stopping. "Now, wait a minute, you!" the witch screamed, and she jumped down from the ledge to grab his collar. But at that moment, her long hair caught in the spreading branches of a fir tree, and she was left hanging, the tip of her toes just above the ground, and could not get free. She began to kick and twist and shout as loud as she could. Anyone else would have laughed and said it served her right, but Nisse was not like that. "Tst, tst, little mother," he said in a friendly voice. "I'll help you." So he climbed up the tree, pulled and loosened the thick tufts of hair, and at last he managed to free the witch from the heavy branches. "You're an odd one, to help someone who wants to hurt you," said the witch in surprise. "I intended to give you a thrashing, but now I might help you instead." "That would be good of you, little mother," said Nisse. "You'll never be able to get past all the dangerous animals here, unless you know the language," said the witch. "But I will give you a magic herb. If you put it in your ear, you will understand everything they say while you're in the forest." Nisse thanked the witch, did as she told him, and walked on. After he had gone some way, he came to the great angry watchdog of the forest. It limped towards him on three legs and made a fierce face. Poor little doggo, said Nissa, full of confidence and sympathy. Have you hurt yourself? Can I help you? The dog had been ready to jump on the boy, but was so surprised by his kindness that it sat down on its hind legs, just like a well-behaved dog. You are not like other people, are you? It said. Perhaps not, said the boy. Let me see your paw, little father. The dog gave him his forepaw, and Nisse saw there was a big thorn in it. He pulled the thorn out, put a little wet moss on the wound, and tied it together neatly with grass. That feels better, said the watchdog, standing on all fours. I had intended to bite your ears, but I don't want to now. Where are you going? Our cow is lost, Nissa replied. I'm going to the troll caves to find her. My, said the watchdog with a pitiful look. That's not an easy errand, for those trolls are not to be trifled with. But since you were kind enough to cure my foot, I'll go with you and show you the way. Perhaps I can help you. The watchdog did as it had promised. It leapt ahead, and the boy scampered after it, and they went deep, deep into the forest. They had run for several hours when they caught sight of the bear lumbering through a peat bog, sniffing for cranberries. You had better go around, said the watchdog, for he attacks people and cattle. Well, I like the way he looks, even if he's big and shaggy, said the boy, and kept on walking. But just then the bear saw him. It rose on its hind legs, let out a terrible growl, and padded towards him. My, what a great rough voice you have, said the boy, putting out his small hand in greeting. You would make a fine bass in choir. Hmm? Grunted the bear, stepping closer. Yes, a very loud voice, continued the boy, but you seem very friendly anyway, holding out both paws to greet me. The bear was just about to gobble Nissa up when the green-haired witch jumped out from the trees. She had followed Nissa at a distance to see what would happen to him in the troll caves. Don't touch that boy! She cried to the bear, and she picked up a knotted fir stump and flung it into the bear's wide-open mouth. The stump stuck between its jaws, so it could neither growl nor bite. That was a mean thing to do to old father here, who was so friendly and wanted to greet me with both his paws, said the boy. But wait, let's see if I can help you out of this. He found a long wooden stick and began poking into the bear's mouth. The bear sat still, panting, and after much picking and prodding, Nissa at last managed to loosen the stump. That was well done, grunted the bear contentedly. I can see you are a boy with pluck and nerve. I was going to swallow you in one gulp, but now you're safe from me for the rest of your life. What are you doing here in the forest? I'm looking for our cow. The troll stole her, Nissa replied. You are a daring boy to set out on an errand like that, said the bear. I think I will follow you and perhaps I might be of help. They all set off again and arrived at the Charles Mountain caves, and the sky began to darken. The entrance was covered by mighty boulders, but there was a small opening just about big enough for a dog to squeeze through. Nissa can crawl in there, said the bear, adding, if the trolls attack you, just call Bear, come in, and then the trolls will have a real fight on their hands. I can promise you. I don't think that will be necessary, said Nissa, but thank you for just the same. And so he crawled through the narrow opening and entered a cave as big as a barn. The old troll was sitting by fire, munching on a bone. He looked awful, with an enormous nose, hairy arms, and yellow-green cat's eyes. And there in one corner of the cave was Lily White, chewing on some rough thistle the trolls had picked for her in the forest. Why, look, little urchin, exclaimed the troll, and grabbing Nissa around the waist, lifted him up to the table. Where do you come from? Dear friend troll, said Nissa politely, I have come to fetch our cow, who seemed to have wandered into your cave. Don't be so foolish, clucked the troll. Oh no, my little fellow, I needed milk, you see, and so did my old woman. And you yourself will make a fine little shop for dinner. As soon as mother returns, she'll put the pan on the fire. Oh, you're joking, said Nissa. Wouldn't be so cruel to a little boy who never did you any harm. Oh, that's nonsense, cried the troll. Oh, of course I'll fry you. Aren't you frightened? No, I'm not afraid of you, said Nissa boldly. I know you're not as bad as you pretend. Oh, I've never seen the likes of you in my life, growled the trolls. Brother, brother, come here quick and light the fire. A troll woman rushed into the cave and started rubbing flint and steel together to make a fire. It's good of you, little mother, to make a fire to warm your old man, said Nissa happily. But now I think it's time for Lily White and me to go home. But then the old troll caught hold of Nissa and prepared to fling him into the frying pan. Now most creatures, it is true, can be won over with friendliness, kindness, and generosity. But only force helps with a troll. Nissa realized this now, and so he called, Bear, come in! Bear, come in! You should have seen what happened next. The bear tossed the boulders at the entrance, left and right, with its great paws. Sparks flew in the air. Then the bear rushed into the cave, and behind it came the witch of the woods and the watchdog. The bear caught the troll firmly by the neck and flung him to the floor. The dog dug its teeth into the troll woman's jacket until she fell down with a splash, right into the pail by the fire. Meanwhile, the witch of the woods went over to Lily White and loosened the rope with which she was tied. Nisse lost no time in climbing on Lily White's back. He held tight to her long horns and called, Thank you all for helping me. Don't be too hard on the trolls. Then he urged Lily White on. Hurry, dear Lily White. Hurry, dear cow. They galloped over the tree trunks and stones, through forest and meadow, and were both safe and sound back at the croft by the time the sun came up. There was much rejoicing at the croft, but back in the cave, the trolls were so frightened by the fact that their own forest friends had helped Nisse, just because he was kind and trusting, that they never dared show their noses in the manor house pasture again. This was the boy who was never afraid. Thank you for listening. Until next time. Bye bye.